Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software. Now, a while ago, Anne Harrison left a message on the Facebook group asking about this video tutorial here about making this film strip. The only problem was it's a German tutorial and she was having trouble following what to do and wanted to know if I could help in any way. Now, I don't speak German, but I sort of slowly, I kept pausing it and watching where the cursor was moving to, and trying to follow and copy it as best I can. So it may not be a 100% perfect copy of the tutorials, because there are certain points when the cursor stops moving and the gentleman is just talking away. He could be talking about the weather for all I know, or he could be saying something really important that I'm going to miss out because I have no idea what it was said. Now, I have contacted the gentleman and I did ask him if I could make copies, sort of convert it into English. But as yet I've not heard back from him, so I've not heard whether I can or whether I can't. So I'm just going to sort of push ahead and hopefully he will answer by the time I've finished making these 3 videos. And this will be the introduction to all 3 videos, so you will have to watch this bit again or just skip it when you come to part 2. Now, the originals are made by affinitytutorials, and you can find them on YouTube. You can just do a search in YouTube for affinitytutorials. It's all one word, and as you can see here, there are 3 videos that show you how to make this image. They are also on Facebook. So again, you can do a Facebook search for affinitytutorials, and again you can watch the originals, especially if you speak German, and follow them that way. Now, there are some things that you will need in this whole process. One of them is some Bokeh brush tips, which is these blurry background circles here. In the video he has them already installed and he's using them, but in my PC version of Affinity Photo there are no such brushes. So what I did originally was I made my own, and I've made a short video. I say short, it's 14 minutes long, about making a very simple Bokeh brush tip. So you can search for that and you can install it into Affinity Photo and use it later on in this set of videos. After I made this, I did find some free ones. There's 24 abstract Bokeh brushes, free to download, and I've tried them and they work in Affinity Photo, and I did use them in my second test run of these videos, and I will be using them in this set of videos I'm making now. So you can either make your own, either by following my video back here, or what might be better, as soon as you get 24 of them, is to download them. Now, I will be adding the information about where to get these from in the file description that will go underneath the video. If you can't see it all, there should be a button that says show more, so you just click on that and it will show more of what I've written. Now, the other thing you will need, if you want to finish off the same, end up with the same sort of image, is the Google's Nix Collection. Again, this is a free download and it plugs into Affinity Photo, or it can work as a standalone product, but for the point of this tutorial it would be better if it was a plugin. So these are the three things or two things that you will need: the Nix Collection, a Bokeh brush of some description, whether you make your own or whether you download these ones here. So this will be the end of my little introduction. So hopefully once you've got all this bit prepared, you've got your Bokeh brush tips, you've got the Google Nix Collection installed, we can then get on with the tutorial proper. So hopefully you will be able to follow what I'm saying, and very big thank you goes out to Affinity Tutorials for showing us how to do this particular project. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, moving on with part 2 of this set of 3 videos, which are a conversion of Affinity Tutorials German videos, as you would have seen in the introduction. And after completing part 1, you should now have 2 layers, the background layer and this grouped layer, and the grouped layer is the film strip with whatever free images that you have placed into it. And as they are a group, you can move them around, you can resize them if you want to. I'll leave that up to you. So I'll just again put it back roughly where it was, and like I said in video 1, you just want this film strip to be slightly higher up the page because we're going to put a reflection of this below it. So moving on, before we go any further, I want to rename these layers, and I will rename any future layers from now on because there's going to be quite a few and we're going to be moving them around, so it's easier to rename them so you know which ones we are dealing with. So I'm just going to double click on this layer and call it background, and then double click on this layer up here and call this film strip. You don't have to rename yours, but I do believe it is a good thing to do from this point onwards. Now, this top layer, film strip layer, I'm going to right click it and duplicate it. So we now have 2 layers called film strip. So I will come back to the middle layer, double click this, and I'm going to call this film strip backup. Now, Affinity Tutorials did this in their video, and I'm repeating what they did. I'm not 100% certain why they did this. I thought that when they did it, they're going to use it somehow, somewhere in part 2, because at that point I hadn't looked at it and tried to convert it. But they don't use it in part 3, I should say. But they don't use it in part 3. But all they've done is they take the tick away to hide that layer, so it is no longer part of this tutorial. I'm guessing, and it is only a guess, that they keep it in case at some future date you want to redo this project, maybe with different pictures. In that case, you could open this saved project, hide whatever layers are above it, unhide this one, and then maybe ungroup it change the pictures, regroup it back together again, and then either make new layers above that or just bring back some of the layers that you want to add back in, but with new pictures. But as I said, that is just a guess, but I've copied what they've done, and you don't necessarily have to copy this making of a backup layer, because I really don't know why they've done that. So what we want to do now is just click on the film strip layer to highlight it, and if you haven't already, move this layer up by clicking on the film strip itself, and with the move tool move it up to make room for the copy that we are now going to make. But first thing we want to do is, with this film strip layer highlighted, right click and come down to Rasterize. Click onto that. There's no real noticeable effect other than it there's no longer a group. There's no longer this little arrow next to it. It's now like one complete flattened layer, which I'm assuming that's what rasterize means. So we can now right click this again, duplicate, so we now have a second film strip layer, and I'm going to double click that, rename this film strip reverse. Once it's renamed, I'm going to come up to the arrange menu and come down to flip vertical, which will just reverse the whole layer, and with the move tool selected, just drag this down underneath, and you can use the upward arrow on the keyboard just to nudge it up so there's no gap between these two layers. Now if you come back up to the film strip layer and right click again and come down to Rasterize, and then click on the film strip reverse layer, right click, come down to Rasterize. Then what we want to do is to click and highlight the film strip layer and come up to Filters, Distort and Shear, and the Shear panel will give you two boxes side by side here, one with a vertical line and one with a horizontal line, and it is the horizontal line one that we are going to alter. I'm going to add two nodes just by clicking on the line, and I'm going to come, the first one I'm going to add where the vertical line, first vertical line meets this horizontal line, and then the last vertical line where that meets the horizontal line. And what we're going to do is to click and move drag. I'm going to bring this one down a bit, this one up a bit. How far you move it is completely up to you, and then click and drag this last one just to accentuate this S shape. Same goes for this side. So we've got this nice sort of S shape here. I'm going to click apply, then click and highlight the film strip reverse layer, come up to filters, and the first option should now be repeat shear, and then that will copy the amount that you've moved this. Now this, as you can see from my example here, I didn't allow enough room for the copy of this, so I'm going to just quickly hold down the control key to highlight both of these, and with the move tool selected, I should just be able to just nudge this up. So I have actually lost a bit of this here, but I'm not overly worried about that because we're going to be deleting part of this layer anyway later on in this video. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm quite happy with that because I'm not worried about this bit that I've lost here. But it does show why you needed to move this up far enough up the screen, allowing yourself enough room to do the shearing motion and enough room to allow the copy underneath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly save this, and I would advise you to do the same so that we are ready for the next part of what we're going to do. Okay, I have just saved the progress of my document. We've got 2 so far. Now I'm going to sort of repeat what I did before I saved a little bit by clicking on the film strip layer, holding down Control and clicking on film strip reverse, and like I did before, I'm going to move this a bit, and I'm going to reduce the size a bit, and to do this I'm going to use the transform. You can make it whatever size you want, but again, repeating what is in the original German DVD, I'm going to make the X position 405, the Y position 167, the width I'm going to make 1110, and the height position 746. So there we have it, much smaller position layers, and they are sort of more centralized. So what I'm going to do now is just click and highlight the film reverse layer, which is the bottom one, and we are going to add a layer mask to this layer, and the layer mask icon is the first one in this group of 4 down here. So this will add the layer mask to that layer, and what we're going to do is going to start painting over the bottom of this, which is why I didn't mind losing that bit there. So we need the brush tool, and we need it to be, let me put the colors back to black and white, and we want black as our foreground color because we are going to be painting on the layer mask. Just make sure that it is a layer mask that is highlighted, and I'm going to have the opacity and the flow at 100%. I'm going to have the hardness down to about 30-35%, roughly around that area, and I'm going to make the size somewhere around the 300 mark, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to paint over and lose part of the bottom of this film strip layer. Now I'm really not 100% certain how much you want to take off of your image. I mean, in the original German video he definitely took off the first row of these little sprocket holes that it's in the bottom of the film strip. Now you could at this point just lower the opacity down a bit more, say around the 30%, maybe a bit, say 34, 35, something like that. and then just do a little bit more and just sort of help blend this in. It's not such a severe line of where that's starting to fade. So I will leave that at about that point there, I think. And next we want to come up to the effects tab. Oh, sorry, just click on the overall, the film reverse layer to make sure that both of these are selected. Come to the effects tab and then put a tick into Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to move this up to 3 pixels. In fact, it's easier just to type in 3, just to give that an extra sort of blurry feel to it. Now that has sort of brought back the line between these two images. Let me just come to the move tool, and I'll just use the arrow key just to nudge it up slightly. About 3 clicks will do, and that will help get rid of, in fact one more probably wouldn't hurt. There we go, I think that's better. There's now not a join line. Yours may not have moved as much as mine did. So I'm just going to quickly save my progress at this point, as this is technically the end of the second video, so definitely save your progress at this point now, and then we can move on to the last and final part of this set of videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in video number 3.